Welcome to I Write Out Loud. I am back from Florida. I am back at my home in Seattle. My screen is a little weird, but hi everyone who's joining. It's so good to see you. I had a great time in Florida. It was wonderful to see my family, and also I so missed my life here in general, and seeing all of you and doing these lives. I only got to do one while I was gone. My mouse is not working. But it's so good to be back. Back home, back with my little dog right here. Let's say hi to Kira. Kira! Kira, can you say hi? She's looking out the window because she's guarding the house. That's what's happening here. My screen is really weird. Oh, no, that didn't help because everything is just up at the top half. So I can only see like one person joining at a time. So I'm sorry I'm not calling out everybody's names and saying, hi. But it's really good to be back. I love where I live. It is good. I know. Do you want a little treat? Would you like a treat? Oh, I do have your treats right there. Today's show is sponsored by Nature Naws. It's not really. It should be. It should be. Oh, hi, Lynette. I see your hi everyone message. We will give Kira her treat. You want that? Good dog. She's such a good dog. So yes, I've missed writing. I didn't do any writing while I was gone. Sometimes I do, but the trips to Florida when I write are usually the ones where I don't go with my kids. This time I had, staying with my mom. I had my kids with me. We went to visit my dad. So a lot of demands on my time, which was good. But I wanted to be very present. And so I did one spontaneous live when I slipped away from my family for a little bit. And hold on, I just opened Substack. And of course, now I'm like, oh my gosh, Rubio is briefing the Gang of Eight right now. Okay, we're not going to look at that because this is the time when we talk about memoir and moving through the world during these crazy times as a Gen X woman, or at least that's what I talk about. I'm going to navigate to my Substack so that I can join the live. And while we're waiting for more people to join, I will do my usual hellos and my usual spiel. There, this always looks better when I have the chat up because the background is dark. So look at the difference. Bright, dark, right? It's better. Oh wait, that's the wrong screen though. Did I lose it? That's the dark. Okay, we are back, and I can come over here. Watch me go, and I'm going to type hello all. So up until I went away, the I Write Out Loud project, I was posting 5 stories a week, and I was doing a live for each story, a podcast where I would dig in and give background, both about the moment in my life and about how I wrote the stories, all of those things. I front-loaded stories for last week. So the first one on Monday I was here for and talked about. There were 3 stories that went live while I was away, and I didn't go live for those on the spontaneous live that I did from the rooftop bar. I did talk about those 3 stories. I don't think I'm going to go back and do more lives for them because I think that would be a lot. And I flew home yesterday, so I had a story go live Monday morning and another story go live today. They are part of a trilogy, and I think I'm going to talk about those 2 stories today, and then we'll be caught up, if that is okay with all of you. So for those of you who might be new here, welcome to I Write Out Loud. This is my corner of the internet for memoir writing and storytelling, about my misadventures in living out loud as a Gen X woman in 2026. And the project started because I wanted a home for my creative nonfiction. It was scattered across Medium, a zillion publications on Medium, a bunch on Substack, some that I've been lucky enough to have published on some national publications. I wanted to have one home for my writing. And it was done as an act of intentionality, because what I found in 2025 was I did very little memoir writing because the world feels like it's on fire, because it is in a way, right? And as a result, memoir felt indulgent, navel-gazing. No one wants to hear my story. No one cares about this stuff when, you know, ICE is doing this and we're invading this country, that. And then I really got angry about it, not just for my sake, but I got angry for all the lost art out there. We have lost so much to the powers that be right now. So much music, so much painting, drawing, just acts of creativity, I think, because so many of us are just drowning and trying to keep up with the world and do good in the world. So this is my act of rebellion. I Write Out Loud is me declaring art is important, and I'm going to keep putting art into the world. Some of it is art from my archives, and I feel a little funny using that word because it's only been 3 years. Well, not even quite 3 years. Some of it is new. Um, the essays today are from the archive, the two we'll be talking about, but they are all presented in this very unified, like, to me, beautiful look and feel. They're the way I want the stories to look. And with each story, I read them out loud. And I do it for a couple reasons. One is because I want to make sure these stories are accessible. I know that by default, Substack has an ability to play a story out loud, and I love that. But I wanted them read in my voice, as they were meant to be heard, not in like an AI robot voice. So I do a recording for each story so that you can listen. And I also, you know, have it there in text. And then I do these lives to go behind the scenes and dive in deeper to hear from you all. I will be reading in the chat. I see Razor's Edge is saying art is so important, and especially now. I agree. Lynette, thank you for saying hi to everyone. It looks like you were jumping in for Karen. Karen Marie Shelton is the moderator for my podcast, The Daily Whatever Show, and she's frequently here also moderating. I know she's in finals right now, or she's doing a very big school project, so I'm not sure if she'll be here today. So I appreciate you greeting everyone, Lynn, because it was a little hard at the beginning. Right now I can say hello, Lynette, hello, Ken, hello, Joanne, Deanna, Lynn, and Julie, and Razor's Edge. It's so good to see all of you, and my apologies to everyone who joined before I logged in because I can't see your names, but I'm saying hello to all of you. I'm so grateful that you're here. It is, and Lynette calls it a creative resistance. And there's musings, hi musings. It's nice to see you here. So yes, this is my act of creative resistance. I like that term. And I'm determined to keep bringing these stories forward and to just carve out space for creativity, because I know I need it. I think storytelling is a really important way we learn lessons. These stories of mine are not happening in a vacuum. They're speaking to the culture we're all living in this moment we're all living through. So hopefully they will mean something to you as well. If they bring things up for you, I can't wait to hear your feedback in the chat. Julie says, glad you're back. I hope your family visit was good. It was. It was really nice. Thank you for asking. And hello, David. I see David E. Roy has joined. It is lovely to have you all here. And I'm going to start talking about the stories next, so I won't have my eye to the chat as much. So if I don't say hello to you personally, that is why. Although I see Rosie joined. Hi, Rosie. Okay, I think that's all the background on I Write Out Loud and kind of why I'm doing this and how good it feels to be back. So thank you. I'll talk a little bit more about the visit and the story I've been working on since I kind of typed a story with my thumbs on the flight home. That's a big one. If I bring this one out, it would be a really big one. We'll see. We'll see if it happens. The stories from today, they are about dating, which is one of the dating and relationships and sort of dating relationship sex as a, Gen X age woman, and what it's like to be looking for love and relationship at this age. It's one of the big topics that I tend to talk about. And what I realized is these stories, when I first wrote them, most of them ran on Medium, because at this point in my writing journey, when these were written, that's where I was writing. That was the only spot. And what I'm realizing is I wrote each of them as they were happening. And so there was no ulterior story or like broader story being told beyond the arc of each essay. But now it's been over 2.5 years since I wrote these stories. And um, what I'm seeing is kind of a meta narrative arc across these stories. And so I have a goal that I'm working toward, or like a timeline I'm working on, because the stories, they tell a story of me re-emerging into dating after a 6-year relationship ended. So my journey, my origin story, the journey began with a story called I had a little our relationship, and I shared that story a couple weeks ago here in I Write Out Loud. You can either listen to the podcast or go back and listen to or read the story. That story is about a long-term relationship I was in, kind of both its strengths and its shortcomings, and why I left. And that's the first story. And what I'm finding is that happened in August. The story posted in October. From there through March, which would be like August 2023 through March of 2024, there is a narrative arc. And I would call it like Gen X foolish hearted woman stumbling through dating after the security of a long-term relationship, um, and really having my heart as a punching bag in a big way. But the part that I'm noticing as I'm going back and looking at these stories is this sense of equilibrium and disequilibrium that I go through. So when I had a little our relationship ends, I am so happy and content at last to know what I wanted, because for a long time there was this sense of like, is this my forever relationship? I don't know, and how will I feel if it ends? And once it ended, there was just this sense of peace. And I didn't want to date. I didn't want to really have sex. I just was like, I am so happy having all of this energy and power returned to me. And I was very much in a state of equilibrium. And after a couple months, I was like, what might it be like to date? And there was sort of this sense of like, if I don't try, I might be done. And do I want to be done with this forever? That felt sort of not what I wanted. And so I dip a toe in the water, and then I shared 2 stories last week, which were the next 2. I shared them sequentially as they occurred in my life, even though they didn't appear online in that order. And those were the 2 stories that were called I Fell in Love with a Man I Never Met, followed by Falling in Love Through My Thumbs. And they are telling the story of the first, like, right out the gate in online dating. I met a guy in Canada, because that's within like 140 miles of me. So that's who Facebook dating was showing me. And it was this whirlwind, like infatuation, right? I'm using the word love very blithely there, but it was, new relationship energy, even though it was completely virtual. Never met him. But for about 6 weeks, I was not sleeping. We were texting all the time, and there was all this buildup, and then poof. He was fresh out of a relationship when it started, like a 20+ year marriage, and he wanted it till he didn't, and then he was like, "I'm gone," and he disappeared. And that's something that you will see is pretty common in my experience, and it's for me very painful because I am very relational, and so that experience left me in complete disequilibrium, right? Both because of the lack of sleep, because I let myself get so far out over my romantic skis, so to speak, that I stopped sleeping. I was texting him all night, so giddy, giddy, giddy about this guy, and then he just disappeared and evaporated. And I was like, oh, but my heart is right here, and it's broken, and my body was all fired up and wanting this thing to happen, and then I was left holding all of it. This is a theme I think I'm going to come back to. I don't know if there's a full essay in it, but I've noted over the years that like when a relationship ends, there's energy, right? Relationship is an energy between two people. And when it ends, sometimes, but probably not often, it's mutual. And both partners are equally like, you know what, this needs to end. And they say, yes, it does. And it's been wonderful knowing you. And they part ways and there's sort of a dissipation and everyone can feel good about the relationship ending. But usually that's not the case. One person typically wants it and the other doesn't, or someone is very hurt. But there's this energy afterwards. And when the person leaving just poof disappears, especially without any like denouement, like there's no exit. It just goes from one day being great to like, boom, I can't do this. They disappear and kind of take their power with them. And then they leave a crater of like emotion on the other, or you could say a crater or a great weight, maybe is a better metaphor. And then there's this sense of like, I don't know what to do with this hurt or all these feelings I was having, that there was this flow going between us. And then it just like all the brakes slammed on. And now that all of that energy and emotion is all within me and I don't know what to do with it. One of my dear friends is going through this. Like he went through a really bad breakup and all the pain, it seems like has been sitting with him. And it's like, how do you then process it? What do you do with all of that energy? It's really hard. So that brings us to the stories for this week. After things ended with my long distance, what have you, I was like, okay, well, clearly I want to date and I want to have sex again because here we are. And um, I was like, what I don't want to have happen is I don't want to feel like I have to wait for someone to choose me and for me to be like, he's good enough. Because that was kind of the feeling, that was part of the story of the little R story. I want to be choosing. And in order to do that, I'm going to need to show some courage. And so I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask men out. And so, and it's going to be in real life. I'm going to meet them, unlike, the virtual romance I'd had. So there is a trilogy of stories. I didn't start out to write a trilogy of stories. Hell, I would have loved it if I'd gone on that first date and we'd fallen madly in love and we were, you know, still together, having sex like monkeys and moving through time together and having a great time. That's not what happened. Spoiler alert. So, looking back now, I have these stories that are meant to be now viewed as a trilogy, I guess. So yesterday I went on my first date in 6 years. Today I posted I went on my second first date. And tomorrow I will post I went on my third first date. So I can't give you the full tea today because there's still one more story to go. We'll talk about that one tomorrow. I'll set up another one of these tomorrow to talk. But what was interesting, now having the wisdom of hindsight to look back, is the first date was someone who I was connected to through Facebook but had never met in real life, who was very handsome. And I didn't know that much about him other than he was age appropriate, professional, creative, has a daughter, lived in my city, I was like, and was single, or at least was not in a relationship. And I didn't set out to ask him out. It wasn't like I woke up and was like, I named him Ace, not his real name. Felt kind of close to his real name. Shh. But I didn't say that. I didn't. So I saw I write this in the story, that he was logged into Facebook Messenger, so was I. And he had, how you can leave or maybe it was Instagram, I can't remember which one, but there are the little bubbles where you can leave a message. His said something about let's go dancing. And so I wrote him and was like, dancing sounds fun. And he was like, yeah, let's go. And I was like, oh, I think he's asking me to go out. And so we chatted for a bit and we both realized Razor says chase the ace. That's exactly what I did. I chased the ace. And so we realized neither of us knew where to go dancing anymore, right? This was 2023. So post-COVID, but we're in our 50s. We don't go dancing that much. At least I don't go clubbing. But we both liked bourbon. And I was like, do you want to meet me for a bourbon instead? And he was like, I do. So to get all Carrie Bradshaw on you. And just like that, I asked this very handsome man out on a date. And we agreed to go the next night. It was just like no fucking around. We were like, you're free, I'm free, let's go tomorrow night. Fantastic. And hi, Nick. I see you saying hi. So hello. I get all dressed up and I'm like, ooh, it was this very pretty bar in North Seattle, where you sit like on sofas. So we were sitting on a sofa next to each other. He paid for our drinks, which I was like, is this just a friend thing or are we going on a date? And I guess it was a date because it seemed like a date. We sat next to each other, had a cocktail or two. I can't remember if I had one or two now. But we spent a couple hours talking, and it was interesting because he's very, very good looking. Like he's just bone structure for days, like beautiful skin and like really nicely dressed. Like he was very, very handsome. But I still was looking at him and I was like, I I wasn't looking at him as like a sexual being so much as it's more like a museum piece of like, oh, you're attractive. But there was, like when you sit next to someone and there's chemistry and there's like, you can feel the energy moving between you. Um, that wasn't there. And I wasn't sure why. At the time, I think I was like, I'm not sure he's that into me. Um, but yeah, he was hot, but there was no fire. And in retrospect, I think it was because I am very relational and I feed off if someone seems really into me. And until I know if they're into me, if I don't feel that sense of connection, I don't, um, I just don't feel that draw. And so that was kind of that first date. Like there was no kiss goodnight. We kind of just hugged goodbye. And he texted right away and he was like, I really mean it. We should definitely hang out again. And I was like, great. Maybe he does like me and he's a slow burn kind of guy. Um, Audience, he was not a slow burn kind of guy. I should save this. So I always on Sundays have a paid subscribers only spill the tea chat. And I do plan to do that this Sunday. I didn't do it last Sunday because of my trip. So I'm going to have a lot of stories to catch up on. This is detail I would normally leave for that, but I'll say it today was like, we kept in touch a bit, but he never asked me out. I never asked him out again. I was kind of like, balls in your court, dude. But one night I did get the offer of, I just took an edible and I'm about to sit down and watch some Netflix. You want to come over? And I was like, wow, okay. So he's interested enough for that. But that's all that this would ever be. And I was like, "You're pretty, but no. I'm not coming over to um, get high and watch movies and have sex on your couch while you're, tripping balls. No thanks." So, but here's another really funny behind the scenes detail is, you would have gone if the movie was Scott Pilgrim. I probably could have picked the movie, but I could also just you know what I did that night? I was ripping the carpet off of this is very sexy. This is my rock and roll life. I have two cats. One is very old and diabetic, and even back then was old and diabetic. She's only older now. Um, and the stairs from the main level of my house here down to the basement were carpeted, and I needed to remove the carpet, because my cat had peed all over them. And so I was like midway through the like yanking carpet and all of the tacks, all the staples off the stairs. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to finish this project. And then I took myself out for karaoke and sang a couple songs. And that was what I did that night. And that was rewarding and fun and um, involved no chance of sexually transmitted disease or emotional attachment I didn't want to form with someone who wasn't worthy of it. So I think it was a good call. That was a lot of behind the scenes that I probably shouldn't say on these, but you know what? I just got back from vacation. Ask me anything. And yes, those tacks and staples are so annoying and dangerous. And I mean, like, you can't see in my black sweater, but I felt like such a bad bitch for taking that down, taking that all off the stairs, and then I stained the stairs. Like I reprimed it. So that was some behind the scenes stuff. But date number one, essentially, in my reemerging into the world of dating was this is a very handsome, very like the sort of man I should date. Professional and creative and just a little bit weird, but like had his shit together, had a very cute daughter, a bit younger than my kids, like lovely, lovely guy. Um, but and also, as it turns out, very ethically non-monogamous kind of a guy. I came to find out later too. So kind of became an archetype of like, yeah, most really good-looking, professional, blah, 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 blah men in my age group to date, um, have so many choices that they are not picking one. They are at the all you can eat buffet and they're just filling their plates. So, I am grateful that he did not that it was, nothing like that, happened on date 1. So date 2 was someone from online dating. At this point, I still had my Facebook dating profile up, the same one from where I'd met the Canadian guy, and, had matched with some people, but, like, there was nobody there that was really, catching my eye all that much. But this guy who I named Hank, I was like, I like his face, and we seem to have some things in common. We matched, and he was into music, like going to live shows. Lived just a little bit north of me, was just a few years older than I am, and just seemed like a good guy. And I was like, that's the one I want to meet of all these people. And I would write, and he would write back, but not a lot. Like definitely was not pursuing me. But I was like, well, Dana, you've got to be the pursuer if you want to get the attention of the ones who you like. So I wrote to Hank and was like, hey, I'm not much for going back and forth over, I'm not much for texting strangers, but I'd love to meet you. Would you like to get together? And he said yes. And I was like, good. And so we arranged this date. He had a dog, and I do too. Let's put her in the picture because she's part of the story. Where are you, Kira? Oh, she's right behind me. Sorry about that. Do you see her there? She's like out cold, so we're not going to disturb her because we let sleeping dogs lie. Okay. Nick says I was always weird about strangers asking about my day. That can become the entirety of an online dating relationship, right? Like, hey, how's your day? Hey, how's your day? And you're like, can you ask me another question? I'm trying to figure out where this light is coming from because it's super sunny today, which is beautiful, but it's something coming in through my window. We'll just pretend it's a disco ball and then I'm dancing. Okay. So yes, she's a great dog. I love Kira. I think she has a little bit of a tummy ache though, so we're just going to let her rest. All right. So we meet, and he found the place, and it was this cool bar I'd wanted to go to. That's also a dog run, like it's outdoors and astroturfed, and it's really big. And around the perimeter, there are bars, walk up places to get beer and chairs to sit on while the dogs go crazy. But this was in January, this date, and it was really cold. So we were outside in our coats, shivering, and my little Kira was not having it. Like we walked in and there were all these bigger dogs there, and they just like they saw her and they were like beelining for her, and she was like, ah! So she kind of cowered. Uh, tell me, you ready, Grandma? Says, tell me he showed up in a furry costume with a little fire thing. That would have been so funny if he showed up in a dog outfit. It either would have been amazing if he'd been a great guy, or it would have been like epically disastrous. But that's not what happened. Um, he showed up and he was a really nice guy. And we had a good conversation, and Kira liked him fine because she was terrified. She snapped at his dog because she can be a jerk to bigger dogs when she gets scared, which she was, and he was a good sport about it. So, did you do a lot of doggy talk? I don't actually remember that much about what we talked about because, it's been over 2 years. What I remember is, I'm going to this story now. I like that I called it I Am Not Chill. Like this guy was hold on, let me scroll down here. What did I remember the music was really good. It was very like early aughts Seattle mix, like a lot of Modest Mouse and those kinds of bands. And I don't like beer. So that was one problem. Yeah, Modest Mouse, The Shins, The Strokes, and Fleet Foxes, like that whole vibe of music. So the tunes were great. He liked the music too. I got, I don't drink beer. Like I never liked it. I loathe beer, and they didn't have wine or cocktails at this place, but they were, and I barely like cider. Like cider is juice, but it's really sweet and like cloying to me. They were like, "Well, you have hot cider," and sometimes, like, a hot apple cider is really nice, and so I was like, "Well, okay, I'll have that." But what it was is they took the, like, carbonated cider out of the bottle and heated it, and I was like but it was gross. Gross, 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 but it warmed my hands at least. And so we I know I can overwhelm people. Surprise. I am a lot, and after many, many years on this planet, I have learned that I don't ever wanna make myself smaller if I can. Um, I am who I am, and, yeah, this date again, it was like, I don't think this guy was into me, and I don't think I was that into him. He was one of those, like he wasn't super handsome, but he was, like, attractive and kind, and if he had shown interest in me, he was the kind of guy where I could see that like, "Oh, yeah, there could be something here." But I was like, "I have no idea. I'm getting no vibe." He was like chill to a fault. And so in my mind, this story got reframed, and it became kind of this Goldilocks thing of like, the first one was too hot. The second one was too cold, right? And so I'm glad I asked him out. I, actually, I haven't read any of my stories yet. Are you all okay if I read this part of story number 2? I'm gonna assume yes, because it's my life, but hopefully it is okay. Oh, there's lots of good comments here. I'm excited to read through these in a little bit. You ready, Grandma said, "And the third one was incredibly hung. You're gonna have to wait till tomorrow to find out. You ready, Grandma?" I don't know if he was. I never found out either. But you don't need to know that yet. All right, I got a yes. So I'm going to read this part um, where I will say, let's see here. We had a pleasant time, yet I could sense something about him was so chill, it was almost languorous. I am not chill. I am a dynamo. I know I can overwhelm people. I take on way too much all the time because I have so much on my plate and don't want to let any aspect of my life go. I chronically feel like I haven't done or seen or achieved or reveled enough. I run a bit frenetic, and my life overflows with my kids and writing and work and house projects and karaoke and volunteering and shows and, and I am a lot. I want a lot. But that night, I didn't want much of anything except for a warmer coat and a proper cocktail. I didn't feel much either other than cold, and annoyed with myself for once again being so emotionally disconnected, nearly disassociated from the dating moment in front of me. Was there no spark? Or was it me? Were my brain and heart and body all out of whack so that I couldn't be present and start to take this person into my senses? Um, I'll read a little more. Hank was attractive. He lacked the cheekbones and the sartorial sense of my last date. He was comfortably cute, I'd say. We were both bundled up, so we couldn't really see each other's bodies, other than our taste in jackets and footwear. I stared intently but surreptitiously at his jawline, his hands, his silvering hair, his brown eyes. I listened to the tone of his voice and the cadence of his speech. I tried to imagine being too close to him, smelling his neck, kissing him. I couldn't see it. Something about us two in that establishment, on that date, we had no heat, literally or romantically. I sat there slightly shivering in my too lightweight coat, aware that the lack of heat left in my beverage and the lack of heat from my heart and my body in response to him. So, sometimes that happens. Sometimes there can be someone who is, like the first date, super good looking, but there's no spark. And I have enough wisdom to know not to trust a spark always, because a spark can be a sign of an off nervous system. You can spark with someone who is not good for you, romantically or otherwise. You can spark. There are men who are very good at generating a spark reaction out of women, and those can be not great men to know. But there has to be one of you has to feel something, and this was if he had asked, I would have considered a second date, but I didn't hear from him. So I waited. It's funny because I wrote the story right away, and I was like, how soon do I post it? I could hear from him. But yeah, the first date was too hot. The second date was too cold. You will have to wait till tomorrow to hear how this Goldilocks adventure of this triptych of dates ends. But I definitely, as those two dates ended, because they started from such a place of disequilibrium, from the whirlwind, online romance that happened before, you can hear it a little in my writing as I'm like, why don't I feel anything? Why am I so disconnected? I was very like, there was also this like, why do these men not want me? Why am I no longer sexually viable? Am I not attractive? Because I was in a state of disequilibrium and was like, these are men who should want me. And I don't get the feeling either of them did. It's not stated overtly in the story, but again, wisdom of time and of reflection from 2.5 years later, I can see the arc that's forming. And I'm watching myself as I'm reading my own words be like, oh, Dana, what you really needed to do was step back because you are off your game. You are in disequilibrium. I should have stepped off the apps, out of the game, and been like, go to the gym, go write some more stories, go get some exercise and sleep, and take a pause. But I was off enough that I was like, no, no, no. It was like I almost had to prove something. And the story will continue. There's the third one in this trilogy. And then next week, there's kind of a finale story that's not a happy one. Spoiler alert, but we will get to those as we get to those. It is really, it's so rewarding to be able to sit and to like write stories and to use them to help sort through what my head and heart and body are processing. It is an immense honor to share them with the world and have people read them and comment on them. And to now be pausing and looking back and kind of diving into what some of them are going to mean in aggregate. Right now, I'm really pulling out these romantic dating stories and to note the path as it's rolled out for me. That is some weird next level meta shit. I might have to write a story about the reviewing of my own stories. Is that too navel gazy? I don't know, but it has been a profound learning experience already. I did not know the I Write Out Loud project would do this for me. So thank you to all of you who are here and watching me process in real time as I'm like revisiting these stories. I'm going to turn to the comments in the chat now and I will answer questions. I will read your feedback. I would love to hear your dating stories of like, have you been on dates that felt like they should be hotter than they were? And for whatever reason, there was no chemistry. Did relationship ever grow out of that for you? Did friendship ever grow out of those dates for you? Like, I would love to hear your stories. And I am going to come from the bottom up. The final text I see here is Lynette saying, "Good afternoon, Margaret Williams." Hi, Margaret. It's nice to see you. Um, let's see here. Nick says, "No way. It's what all sitcoms do. There is always a recap episode." Maybe this is my version of a sitcom. Let's see. Dana is talking about her 2 dating stories she posted for us this week. I should share this story, shouldn't I? Let me go back here. So I'm going to put these in the chat in order in case you guys have not read them yet and you don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so there's the first date story. And then here is the second first date story for you. I would love if you would read them, comment on them. If you would restack them, that would mean the world to me, because that tells Substack that people are liking it, and then more people get to see the story. I am but a small little corner of Substack over here at I Write Out Loud, so any support for elevating these stories would be great. Okay, I'm gonna read the comments. Nick says, "I have been set up on a blind date with the same person 3 times by 3 people. Each time we agreed that we were not a fit." Nick, that's three different people were like, "You should definitely be with this woman." Please say you're at least friends. I mean, somebody thought that you all should be together. That's pretty crazy, but I love that. Okay, I'm going to scroll back here and Nick says, "I love this sentiment. Coming to Substack in the creative writing community has saved me." It is wonderful, isn't it? Like, I feel like I have found my community here, more in the political rabble rousers, because that's a lot of who the Daily Whatever Show talks to. So I am looking for more of the memoirist, creative writing sorts. So if you all know, especially if they're women dating or women who are or any gender really, but people who are living out loud of a certain age. I would love to find those people. I'm still looking for more. So please share links to me if you know of people I should be reading. Let's see. You ready, Grandma says, "Great way to realize things." I'm not sure what that's in reference to, but if you write it, I'll catch it when I get down to the bottom. Dropped the apps, hit the gym, worked on me. Yeah, I need to do more of that. I do not tend to live in my body, like in an exercise sense. I live up here. And I love living up in my brain, but I definitely could hit the gym more. Maybe tonight. Brenda BJ, good afternoon. Nice to have you here. Let's see here. Data, you just advised yourself to do what I did. That was the gym. Yeah, that is good. Let's see here. Rock lobsters do not spark. Interesting. Unless they're in the B-52s, you might be right. Oh, you get a spark by dropping a big rock. Oh, only if it hits another rock. Ow. Okay. Those are some painful sounding metaphors, aren't they? I wouldn't recommend kissing frogs if you are into people. It might get weird when people see you. Yeah, no kissing frogs. No kissing frogs. And if you kiss a lot of frogs before you meet your prince, like, oof, yeah. Yeah. There have been a lot of frogs in that case. Let's see. Nick says, "I can do a mean Sex Pistols my way." I would love to hear that. I do love karaoke. I have a story coming up. The end story of this series is at a karaoke bar. That's where it all starts. So you have that to look forward to. And New York is your encore. Excellent. And Rock Lobster's your go-to. Also excellent. Make lists of your accomplishments, then revisit it when you feel unaccomplished. That's good advice. Why do I think Hank was a lot of work to keep my attention? You know, yeah, um, I think if I had dated Hank, I would have overpowered Hank in about 5 seconds. It's funny because I do think there can be a balance, and there often is. I tend to be drawn to introverted, brainy, kind men, and they, I think they are drawn to women with a large outgoing presence, not large literally physically, but necessarily just a large presence and who are very extroverted. And that balance can work really well, but it can also just become a clash too. And I don't like having the feeling that I'm overwhelming someone. Sometimes though, like the introverted, quiet ones are just very grounded, and they need someone to um, help them reach up and you know liven them. And then someone like me needs someone who's grounding, and those tend to be the best relationships for me. So I that I may have a physical type, but I also definitely have an emotional type like that. So, but I don't think he would have. I think he was just um, too low energy. It would not have been a good match. Oh, let's see here. Did Grandma date him first? I don't think so, but maybe. Oh, because Grandma said that's. I think that's in reference to your comment about date number 3 was incredibly hung. You're just gonna have to wait till tomorrow to hear about date number 3. Chill to a fault is a stranger. Oh, I love that, Nick. That's, poetry. Yeah, it does make them feel far away, doesn't it? Let's see, let's see, I'm a mixed drink guy. If I drink, alcohol tastes terrible. I love an old-fashioned. I mean, that's my favorite when it's cold out, especially, like, a perfectly made old-fashioned, like, one can kinda knock my socks off, but I love it. Let's see here. Nick, you have just been on fire with these great comments. When I'm breaking ice, I ask about 3 songs that they were into and what kind of TV they grew up on. That's my way to find out where people's politics are, no lie. Oh, 100%. You can tell a lot from those sorts of things. About 3 songs that I'm into. I would have a very hard time picking just 3 because they could be all over the map at any time. But there's definitely gonna be a Magnetic Fields song in there. Let's see here, oh, we're back toward the beginning. Tell me he showed up in a furry costume. He did not, but wouldn't that have been a more interesting story if he had? That would have been hilarious. Let's see, ugh, online dating. I'd get home from a date and my roommate would ask how it went. I'd say that it didn't need to be me specifically, it just needed to be a body. Yeah, sometimes there can be that feeling, can't there, of like, there's no reason why the 2 of us are the 2 at this table. There's just no connection here. Let's see here. I have gotten a lot better at I don't meet very many people because I've gotten pretty good at vetting and also of being like, I don't enjoy dating. And so in the past, I have had this I'll give everybody a chance, or not everybody, but I'll give a lot of people a chance and I'll go on a lot of dates. This will be fun. And then I came to learn that's not fun to walk into a bar or a cafe and at first glance be like, oh no, this is never going to happen. And then to have to sit and make small talk, or to walk in and be like, oh yeah, this guy, there's a lot of possibility. And to sometimes have them stay way too long and linger only to not be interested. And then you're like, why did I waste all that time? Why did you stay here this long if you weren't into me? So I don't like dating. Okay. I think I'm going to go down to the bottom now because I think people have been leaving comments and I'm all the way up at the top now. So let me see here. I live in my head too. When I'm running on a treadmill, I imagine chasing chickens. Maybe that would help me if I were thought I were. Maybe I would imagine that some of these bad dates were chasing me, and I'm like, I have to get away. That's what I should do. And you also said, Nick, I set a goal to write a piece a day. The other day, I wrote 3 and started 2 in the bank. Good for you. I am slow. I am not a fast writer. I mean, I can write fast if it's just like a blurb, but like an essay takes me a really long time. Oh, I love this comment. Substack lets everyone be more human. That's true. Like, I love that we can do this. And yeah, the Daily Whatever show talks about politics and culture too. Yes, it was intended to be more of a culture show, and I think we do that some days, but culture and politics are so blurred right now. How can you separate it, right? To have a pure culture show, like let's just talk about music and art, would be very hard because, like you said, if you ask people who their favorite artists are, you can frequently figure out what kind of politics they're into because it is all intermeshed, and overlapping. Let me see here. I have gone on dates with absolute knockouts, but will always find my place with somebody's intellect. 100%. 100%. Like, that matters. This matters so much. And this, they have to be kind and they have to be clever and wise. Lynn says, dated a man. This is a long comment, Lynn. Dated a man for a few months in 2020. We couldn't actually go out anywhere due to COVID. So we decided, due to our circumstances, that we would go to a hotel and get pizza and watch movies. He came and picked me up. He lived in Auburn, 40 miles away, picked me up, dropped off dog with my daughter in the town I live in now. He paid for everything insistently. We had chemistry, got to the hotel, and chemistry took over. That had never happened for me before. Wow. I didn't read this beforehand, so this might get racy. Let's see. I consider myself to have had too much Catholic school, 12 years where it was drilled that sex was only for procreation. I'd lost my ovaries a year earlier. He was very cute. We had chemistry, talked all night, liked the same kind of pizza and the same soda, Diet Pepsi, stayed all night together and got breakfast the next morning. Wow, what a start to a romance, Lynn, and during COVID. That's an adventure. That sounds like a good story to write. Yes, you ready, Grandma? Says Republicans are confused that Rage Against the Machine is liberal. Right? How are they confused about that? Right? Like, fuck you, I won't do what you told me. Like, what machine do Republicans think they were raging against there? I don't even know. If they tell me Jelly Roll, I know. Yeah. I find it weird sitting with strangers and the expectations of a potential something. Yes. For me, it's hard to sit. And, like, if I don't like someone, it's, the decision's made. Like, okay, I don't like this person. Whether they like me or not, it doesn't matter. But to be like, I could like this person, but I can't tell if they like me. And then you're sitting and talking and sharing stories. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't know if I need to be taking in your stories right now because I don't know if I'm ever going to see you again. I find that like um, emotionally exhausting. I remember at one point many years ago when I was dating, I don't remember when this was, probably after my marriage, but before a 6-year relationship. I remember saying to a friend, like, I just have so many stories up here from so many men who don't matter. And I was so worn out from carrying all their narrative that I was like, I don't, it's sort of that energy thing again I was talking about, but this was like men I'd go on like a date or two or possibly three with, and then poof, they'd be gone. And I'd be like, I'm carrying all their stories. And they were in such rapid succession that I was like, they're just this miasma of heartache and living that they shared with me that was then mine. And I didn't want it. So yeah, dating is exhausting for me. It really is. Um, I used to tell people that if they weren't vibing with me, it's okay. Just let me know. Made several friends that way. It's really good when you can say that, when you can be like, and I did meet some people online where I would be like, whether or not we hit it off romantically, I can tell we're going to be friends. You're really cool. I've never stayed friends with anyone like that. I don't think, like, in years. Maybe when I was much younger, I made some friends online dating, but not really now. And I'm not really looking for that now. So yeah, I I don't have enough time for the friends I do have. The idea of starting a new friendship, yeah, that would have to be a truly high bar of a human to want to do that. Diane says, enjoying hearing your stories. I journal daily, stream of consciousness, can look back at some dipping into dating, trying after feeling heartbroken, angry from last year. It's hard to do, but then getting together with people a few times, trying to gauge the temperature. It is exhausting. Yes. Nikki says, I'm not sure when that happened to my Substack, but I'm going to have to rebrand, make a new one to get noticed because your settings are set only for you. Interesting. Let me see here. I automatically start exchanging energies. I almost feel like I'm attacking somebody because the first things they are telling me is their unspoken aesthetic. Nick, I love that. That's so, wow, that's powerfully stated. But it's true that, and I wrote about this in the essay from last week when I was writing about this man I never met, the one I only met online, where I talk about how overstimulating a first date is. Because with him, my senses came online gradually. Like, first we wrote through the dating app, then we friended on Facebook, and then I got to see their more photos and to see their life come to light a little bit. And then we started texting, and then we started sending voice memos, and I heard his voice. It was like this very slow unfurling. But with the date, you walk in and you're just inundated with all of these different sensations you're getting off this person. And you're right, it's not just what they're saying, everything about how they present themselves, how they look, how they sound, how they smell, how they chew, how they do everything. Like, it is an annihilation of the senses. And we're hearing, so if you are a perceptive person, you are perceiving it such a flood. It can be very overwhelming. My favorite dates were the ones that ended up being trauma dumps. I played therapist several times. Girl, I have joked before, and it's not funny because it's happened quite a few times, that as an emotionally intelligent and resilient person, that I should have had like a DSM code for some of the men I went on dates with so I could bill their insurance. Of like, um, I this will probably be a story I do write one day, of like, men use dating apps for therapy. They really do. Where they should go get a therapist, they're like, I'm going to log into the apps. And it's because men don't tend to have friends. They have significant others who carry them emotionally. And so when hard things happen, they turn to their partners. And when the hard thing that happens is the loss of that partner, they're double whammied because they've lost their partner and that hurts, but they've also lost the person they talk to when they're hurting. And instead of pausing and being like, wow, I really need to get my shit together, maybe I need a friend or a therapist, they're like, I'm going to get on a dating app and I'm going to find an empathetic woman and I'm going to just trauma dump all over her. I've learned to have a very firm boundary about that. But even then, I had the couple recent people I've dated that has happened with. And it's not fun. It's not fun. And that sounds cold, because the reason it can be so effective is part of getting to know someone who you might want to date or have as a partner is getting to know them and who they are emotionally, and you want to hear their stories, right? And so when a man opens up to me and tells me things, my gut reaction is to be like, oh, he likes me. He's opening up to me. I am a sucker for vulnerability. But as I wrote in my essay about AI, being my dating assistant, vulnerability and availability are very different things. So trauma dumping, run. Like, you should know someone pretty well before they're sharing trauma. And it should never, in the early stages especially, it should not feel like a dump. It should be like a reveal and an opening. But if you feel like they're dumping on you, girl, no, don't let that happen. Dana, you aren't carrying their stories as baggage. You were taking in their perspectives and stories. That's why we watch TV and movies and series. That can be true. That was referencing what I said earlier of having all of their stories. At the time, that psychic energy of all of their stories from all of these men who I thought could have been and never were, like, It was awful. I didn't want it. So I was carrying baggage I did not want. I don't remember a single story anymore though. So I guess I let go of it, which is good. Um, let's see. Lynn says, I'm currently living in my university town where people graduate and stay. So have run into several men I dated at uni, only now they have exes, kids, and grands. Ugh. Wow. That's a lot. That is definitely a lot. Um, oh my gosh, there's so many comments here. This is so great. Oh my God, I feel attacked. My circle is so small. It's a dot. My person is my external hard drive. I didn't mean to attack you. And that's actually kind of sweet. My person is my external hard drive. Um, yes, and hopefully you are the same for them. And hopefully you each have other people you can talk to. I hope. But it can be good to have a small, tight circle. A lot of men try to marry a mom figure. Yeah, that can happen. Joan says, I feel like I did this dating thing all wrong. I just go in to have a good time. If it's not a good time, I didn't care. Every person you meet is not a lifer. Actually, it sounds like you did dating just right, Joan. Um, Drew, Drubron, I know I asked you how you pronounce that. I hope I'm saying it right. I did online dating. Can't wait to hear it. Yes, only spend a few days until you meet someone or they will suck you dry. Yeah. If you don't want to let people go on and on and on virtually, unless you're into it, people dumping on you. Yeah, if that's your kink, you are in luck. Let me tell you, there's so much of that out there. Um, Linnea says, men not only don't have friends, even if they do, they don't talk about emotions. They also can't afford therapy these days, right? That was the joke about the man I wrote about last week, the Canadian guy, the two essays who I never met, that I was like, why did he do all that trauma dumping? I mean, he's Canadian. He has health insurance. He doesn't need health insurance. He has free health care. He could go see a therapist. Why is he trauma dumping on an American? It was a double affront. And of course, now with politics as they are, it's different. This was pre-Trump 2.0. Joan needs to give a Gen X TED Talk. Yeah, about dating and just having a good time. I love it. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. This has been a very fun conversation. And I can't wait to share part 3 tomorrow. I'm trying to think. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I might do this. I might do the same time too. It'll either be 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock my time, so 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock East Coast time. I can't wait to share story 3 with you because I think you will appreciate it. I think it's the best written of the 3. It's my favorite story of the 3. Probably my favorite guy of the 3. What I started saying earlier and didn't finish is the funny thing about my first date guy. We're still friends on Facebook. I've shared this story on Facebook, like links to it and stuff. People are always like, how do you write about people you know? I have no idea if he's seen it, if he's read it. I have no idea and I don't care. But I rarely hear from him, but anytime I'm in Florida and I post a beach photo in a swimsuit, he'll be the first to like it. This last trip, sure thing. There he was liking it. That's the only time I hear from him is if, my boobs are half out in a swimsuit. So there's that guy just being like, girl, you look good. It makes me laugh. So, and the person who is story number 3 tomorrow is also a friend on social media and has also never commented when I've shared the stories. So, meow, meow, meow. I have no idea. But I will be back to talk about it tomorrow. I think I'm going to try working on this really hard essay I'm trying to write about this visit with my dad. And I'm going to tell you a smidge about it because I want to hear. You guys are very wise today. A few of the themes it's exploring are, why do we protect or ignore male bad actors? What did that mean in our past? What does it mean today? And then it's a story about my daughter too. So there's this idea of Um, Gen X resilience versus Gen Z avoidance, and how much how much grace do we show family members? When do we say, like, that's a relationship extinction event? I no longer can know you, versus that was egregious and I'm going to set a boundary, but we're going to move on. And I think that the generation we grew up in, and especially as women, um, impacts that a lot. And you can imagine this was a conflict that arose with my daughter on this trip. And I'm still processing it. But as I'm writing it, outlining it, brainstorming it, it's making me rethink the situation. And it's also making me question if it's a safe story to share or if I should keep this one to myself. How's that for a really weird bundle of things? And I'm not sure if there were questions in there. I guess for those of you who are Gen X or Gen Z or have relationships with people from different generations, do you find, especially with the women, that there's a difference in the grace that we show, especially men? Because that's where I think our crux of this story is. Write it and read it back to yourself. Oh, I will. I will. It's interesting. I am using ChatGPT as a sounding board right now, and it's actually really good at it now because it has done this for me enough times. And it came back with a sort of metaphor for it, regarding myself and my daughter and how we were interacting with my father. And it said that what it came back with was something like, as part of the feeling of frustration I was feeling, it was like, I had to wade through the ocean. You can handle a splash. And I was like, oof, that hit really deep. Fuck you, ChatGPT, for being so good at that. If that line resonates with you at all, of like the things that I, as a Gen X woman, have muddled through and figured out and fought against and for and set boundaries around and still persevered, versus my child who's like, no, I don't want to do it. Right? It is a wild ride, and doing it in the political context right now of, like, Epstein, men in power behaving very badly. I hope I'm up for the task for writing this, and I hope I conclude that it's something that's safe and okay to share. Especially because, my daughters might read it, and I need to feel okay with what I'm putting out there. Linnea says, there's definitely a difference with how much grace I give my mother, who is opposite politically, and how little my brother will give her. Oh, how much grace you will give and how little grace your brother will give. Interesting. Yeah. I am very modest tomboy. My girls are girly and gorgeous and wear as little as possible on days off work. I will say, um, I know we were triggered a bit by Donald J. Trump and his Olympic call to the men's hockey team. Fuck that. Fuck all of that. Fuck the men's hockey team. I wish they'd lost. Bravo to the women's hockey team. I can't even. Oh, and you saw Jasmine Crockett yesterday, Nikki. That's amazing. I'm here to tell you from Florida. I am no prude. I think you've probably figured that out from my writing. The swimsuits that young women wear. Like I've long had trouble since raising daughters, right, with the norms for clothing that even little girls are supposed to wear on up. The shorts have 1-inch inseams. The tops are all cropped. They don't know a bottom. But the swimsuits now, I'm not exaggerating. All of the girls' bikinis are thongs in the back. Like, not strings, but like maybe that wide across all the way down. And they're wearing them all over the beach. They're also wearing them around the restaurants and cafes, right? A few blocks around the beach. I mean, they were beautiful. These women had like really nice bodies, women and girls. I mean, some of them do not look over 18. They look very young. Um, I find that appalling out in public in bright daylight. And sorry, I got me off on a little bit of a tangent, but I was just like, oh my God, I feel like I've been intimate with you guys. I should not see this much of your body unless we're getting into bed together. Like, this is too much. Too much. Also, is that even hygienic? You're around food. Like, we were in a pizza place getting pizza, and we were in line behind all of these like naked butts. I was just like, wow, this is a lot. But I'm not blaming the women. These are the fashion norms. This is what's in the stores. This is what their peers are doing. I wish they would stop and think who's establishing those norms, right? And why? Feminist killjoy. Feminist killjoy, that's me. Yeah, nothing left to the imagination. It was just, I can only imagine the sunburns. Ow. Like, when they have to put sunscreen on, do they ask their friends for help? Like, I'll be like, hey, can you put sunscreen on my back? Do they just put sunscreen on each other's buttons? I don't even know. I don't even know. You ready, Grandma? You went on a shirtless walk. All right. Yeah, think of Les Wexler, Lynn. Exactly. Head of Victoria's Secret. Like, that's who's deciding what our young women wear. My kids have loved Victoria's Secret is being marketed to like 8-year-olds, guys. I mean, I was shocked at how young my kids wanted to go to Victoria's Secret. Oh, do I have someone home? I thought I heard my downstairs door. Someone might be breaking in my house. If they do, send the police. I know you don't know where I live, but listen for a second. That was probably my next door neighbor's house. um, but right, why are these our norms? It's not right. You were not a terrible sub for Karen, Lynette. You were wonderful. Thank you for welcoming everyone. Thank you for picking up the role of moderator. I didn't even ask. You have been amazing. Yes, Kira would know. Actually, you're right, Lynette. If someone broke in, Kira would be barking up a storm. Before we go, I do have to show you my little baby. You see her there just sleeping on the ottoman in the sunspot? Oh, my chair is blocking her still. There she is. She's just this. A nice man complimented my cross-eyed nipples. That's a strange compliment, but okay, we'll go with that. And with that, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go record the audio for story number 3 because I've built the page, but I haven't recorded the audio yet. So I've got my trusty microphone right here. Also, I'm so happy to be back because my hair is normal again. My hair in Florida, my God, not good. Happy to have my own conditioner here and have it all be back to normal. So, have a wonderful day. It has been so awesome. Look at how many of you are here. This is a huge group for my little corner of the memoir writing internet. Love you all, mean it. And I'll be back tomorrow for story 3. We're going to talk about it. And I'm not sure what the stories will be for the rest of the week, but I'll figure it out. I'm going to work on this one about my dad. It will not be ready this week, though. I know that one will take a while for me to write. Love to my Substack friends. Thanks. Bye, all.